beside the highway, which is just pretty good, but not 600 acres.
Didn't have to, so that was nice. It was relaxing. We just sat out there and had a DJ out
Did
there.
that make any difference? Yeah.
It just didn't have anything. It was
They're
fit,
perfect.
shopping,
I love
stuff like
that.
that.
Right there. Yeah.
Lester, it's 9 o'clock.
Get your butt in the room then. Yell at me. You're not even where you're supposed to be.
We ran a tight ship here, you know.
Didn't look like we had anybody here.
So I have a couple of items, dates on it.
All right.
Mainly for, how it's going. So, if that's okay, I'll just call them up, but I'm gonna tell them to.
Sounds good.
When a preacher does not check in as a resident. No preacher as a resident. He only provided one copy of the ordinance, so I'll have to email it to you guys later. He didn't provide any copies.
No, not at all. Need more wine. I know, that's the problem. James, where are the guys with the hats? The guys with the hats. I don't recognize anybody. Oh, Fairgrounds. Fairgrounds.
Call this meeting to order. If you'll all rise for the invocation and stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Shall we pray? Father God, we thank you for your divine providence in giving us the privilege to live in this great American experiment. Thank you for these United States of America. We know that to whom much is given, much will be required. We're a privileged people to live in this constitutional republic. We know that the Word of God tells us that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. We understand liberty and freedom has a price tag, and that each and every generation has to fight anew for that liberty, sometimes with its own lifeblood. And so we give thanks to you as our Creator for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We give thee thanks for watching over us when much of our nation has sought to expel you from the schoolhouse, the courthouse, and the White House. Help us this day as decisions are made that affect us all. Give wisdom to our leaders here on this Mojave County Board of Supervisors, for Travis Lingenfelder, Hildy Angus, for Buster Johnson, our chairman, for Gene Bishop and Ron Gould. Protect those who serve us in our sheriff's department, fire department, and city workers. Watch over our country and help us seek that which is right over that which may seem convenient. Continue to guide us to that moral compass you have put in each one of our hearts. Help us to do better in leaving behind us a greater legacy for our children and grandchildren. To these lofty ends we humbly pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Need a motion to call for an executive session to be held June 7th at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Committee or legislative report. Supervisor Lingenfelter.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. This week we have some water settlement negotiations continuing concerning the Wallapai tribe. We'll be participating in a conference call tomorrow on the Wallapai tribal settlement. We'll see how that goes. We've also, I've been speaking with Regina Cobb, and we'll be ramping up the water study committee, looking at our groundwater issues here on the Wallapai aquifer. So we're looking for that committee to be very busy this summer and setting the stage for the next legislative session for some actual changes. Hopefully we'll get some hearings next year. Thank you.
Supervisor Gould.
None today, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Bishop.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. In regards to the fire on the Wallapai Mountains, the flag fire, I did attend the community meeting up there after the fire and took a tour of the damage that was done. And then I attended a blessing by the Wallapai people blessing the mountain. And I attended the NRCD meeting telephonically and the County Supervisors Association Executive Committee meeting. That's my report.
Thank you. Supervisor Angus.
There has been no LPC for Legislative Policy Committee for CSA for several weeks now. We're hoping that the session will end this week. I'm hearing maybe, perhaps. So at the end of the session, we'll have more of a full report about what they did to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a report on the Lower Colorado River Multi-Species Conservation Program Steering Committee meeting. I'll be submitting that to the clerk for inclusion in the minutes. Anybody that's interested. County Manager's Report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. I do have just 3 brief items, starting with the library update. The board at previous meeting directed staff to ensure that the library is completely opened. So I've asked Kathy, our library director, to provide the board an update on how we're doing on that front. Kathy?
Good morning, Chairman Johnson and members of the board. I appreciate this opportunity to update you on the operations at the library. We've opened our libraries for browsing. We've got computers on the floor for public use. Tables and seating are available, as are our meeting rooms and our study rooms. We're seeing some growth in usage, but I expect that that'll escalate with the issuance of the new CDC guidelines. But to date, we're just not anywhere near where we were pre-pandemic. As an example, our computer usage in April was 33% of what it was in April of 2019. Our gate count was 39% of what it was in that month, and circulation was 63% of what it was in 2019, but 23% of that was actually digitally downloaded without them coming into the library. Our meeting room reservations scheduled for this month are 27% of those that were scheduled in May of 2019. So we'll get there, but it is a slow go. Our bookmobile will resume service once a month, beginning with Yucca, starting tomorrow. They'll be in Wickiup on the May 20th, and White Hills, Beaver Dam, Littlefield, and Scenic, May 25th and 26th. We made contact with the schools that we typically service, and we're told that they would not be ready to have us come back until the beginning of the next school year. And we also contacted the senior living places, and they indicated that they're not quite ready yet either, possibly late June or early July. Our 3 large branches are open 48 hours a week. Our community libraries are open 15 hours a week, which is what they have been, except for Fort Mojave. They're open 25 hours a week. I know you've had some complaints about newspaper subscriptions not being fully restored. I can let you know that we have ordered everything that the locations had prior to the pandemic. The local newspapers we're having pretty good luck with. They can start early. Some of the other publications which are not local, like the Wall Street Journal and USA Today, those we use a jobber to order because it's very difficult to have individual contact with the dozens and dozens of publishers, and those will take 6 to 8 weeks to begin getting. I also want to let you know that our library staffing is currently down by about 28%. We've got 12 permanent positions that are vacant and 8 temporary positions. We're trying to fill some of these, but things never go as fast as you'd like. In some instances, current staff were promoted into those positions, so we now have to go out for those, so we end up with a net gain of 0. But we are doing our best.
Chairman Johnson, may I ask a question? I was asked about children's reading programs at the Bullhead Library. Apparently that they're not being scheduled. Is that something that is going to return sometime soon?
Well, our summer reading program starts June 2nd. We'll start taking pre-registration on the 26th of May. So that is coming on. They have also, all of our libraries participated in In-N-Out Burgers cover to cover during March and April. So they are coming back slowly, but they are back.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Mr. Chairman, board members, the next update is from Michael Smith. Again, it's related to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. This is something the board has approved, and I would like to provide you an update on how well it's going. Michael.
Morning, Chairman Johnson, members of the board. Really quick, tenant applications received as of May 5th, 298. Landlord applications received, 216. Matched applications, this is where both of them concur that there is a rental agreement, 157. Paid applications, 94. The paid applications are 60% of what's currently there. That's really important because as of the last meeting that I presented was 32%, so we have seen an uptick in that in regards. A couple of things really quick just to touch on when we're thinking of the program or for people that are watching. It's really important that when people apply for the rental assistance that they make sure that they apply the actual amount that's past due, because if there is a misconception from a ledger to actually what somebody believes is due, then they have to go back through the process, so it takes a little bit longer to extend that. So I just want to touch on that. And then also, if our community's submitting bills in regards to utilities, please make sure that they take a picture of the full bill, their name, their address, and the amount that's due. So those are the things that I would report in regards to difficulties. The state has also done a second adjudication and has that process down to 1 day. So as soon as they receive a matched contract, it has been approved and adjudicated, it is then will be paid after that shortly thereafter. I'd like to give some totals now for each city. Bullhead City, $129,576,000. Kingman is $74,805. Lake Havasu is $94,818. And that concludes my report unless there's any questions.
Thank you.
Chairman Johnson?
Supervisor Angus.
A couple of questions. Do you still have money that could go towards promotion? I've been asked, Bullhead City has been very proactive in promoting this, and they want to even do more texting promotions and things like that. Do we still have money for that?
That is correct. We do still have some budgeted money, and I have been looking at digital marketing as well, and have reached out to 4 different agencies to see if they could help with that.
Okay, so we'll make sure that they get in touch with you. And is funeral expenses part of this program? Somebody said that to me, and that was the first I'd ever heard it.
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Somebody said part of this program was funeral expenses for people who were affected by COVID and couldn't afford funeral.
So I believe there is another program, but it's not related.
It's not
to this
related to
program.
that. Okay.
No, Supervisor Angus.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Mr. Chairman and board members, the last update is from Tim Walsh, Director of Development Services, and this is a follow-up to a presentation to the board at the last board meeting during a call to the public. One county resident spoke about Ryan Street and properties needing attention, so our staff is following up, and I wanted Director Walsh to give you an update on that as well.
Chairman Johnson, members of the board, County Manager Elters, 3951 Ryan is a property that we are working on for the abatement currently. The structure burned October 6, 2020. We typically will give a couple of months for the owner to be able to work with their insurance to handle the problem themselves. After a couple of months and no progress, then we'll make contact with them and start down that process. And we actually, we worked with them. We sent out our initial notice and order to them on February 24th, 2021. And April 12th, we were all set to, I had actually signed the approval to go in and clean the property up. We were contacted by the new owner. A new owner is purchasing the property from the previous owner, and she asked us if we would hold off on the abatement so that she could clean it up herself and avoid the cost and the lien that would be placed on the property. So that property, that owner is set to close actually tomorrow is our last update from her. So it closes May 18th. Once it closes, we'll be working with her to get that cleaned up. If she does not proceed with that cleanup, we'll follow the same process and we'll abate that property. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Is this the property that the person was claiming we'd done nothing on?
That's correct, sir.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for you and your staff for keeping up on this one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes County Manager's report.
All right. Call to the public. Kenny Works.
Kenny Works, Yucca, Arizona. I started attending these supervisor meetings about the same time that District 5 was a newly formed district, and I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding of the processes that went on in the county government that was going to be governing my district. And around that time, there was some county employees that were about a couple of dozen of them, I suppose, that were seated here and asking for a raise one day, and it indicated to me that there might be a morale issue among the employees, and I started paying attention, and I also saw how the situation was relieved and improved upon. And it's because the management people took an interest in feedback from the employees that were out in the professionals that are out there operating the equipment and performing the maintenance tasks. And genius is rooted in an incessant quest for knowledge and an imagination that transcends boundaries. So it's this quest for knowledge that I think caused the improvement that I've seen over the years in this area, and I just want to commend the managers and the employees out in the field, the professionals out there doing the work every day for their efforts in this area. I've noticed a lot of improvement in that area, and I'd like to see it continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll have a presentation by Major Danny Rodriguez with Arizona Game and Fish and Sheriff Doug Schuster, Mojave County Sheriff, of the Arizona Boating Officer of the Year.
Good morning, Chairman Johnson, distinguished members of the board, county manager, county attorney, and of course our beloved clerk of the board. I want to thank you for allowing us this time to recognize one of our own. We're here to recognize, to honor, and to celebrate Sergeant Kyler Cox. He is our boating safety supervisor who has been named the Arizona State Boating Officer of the Year. This is a prestigious award, and Sergeant Cox has now received this award twice in his career. So I would like to turn the podium over to Major Danny Rodriguez with Arizona Game and Fish to actually present the award.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing me to be here today, Chairman Johnson, members of the board. On behalf of the state of Arizona and Arizona Game and Fish Department, it is my honor and privilege to present this award for the 2020 Arizona Boating Officer of the Year Award to Sergeant Kyler Cox.
That was easy. I certainly would like to recognize the position that Sergeant Cox holds. He's our boating safety officer for the Sheriff's Office, responsible for all the lakes and rivers within our county. It's a monumental task. We're coming into another busy boating season. Chairman Johnson is well aware, living down in Lake Havasu, just how hectic things can be. And this fine sergeant has kept the boat afloat, so to speak, not to mention the outstanding work he does outside of the boating program. He's responsible for many facets within the Sheriff's Office and certainly one of the future leaders of the Sheriff's Office. So I'm very proud of him, and again, thank you for the time.
Thank you. We'll have the consent agenda, items 5 through 34. Any items need to be pulled off besides item 30?
Chairman Johnson,
Yes.
22 and 30?
22 and 30?
Yes.
All right, do I have a motion to approve items 5 through 30?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, good.
33 also.
33. Motion to approve items 5 through 34 minus 22, 30, and 33.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 22, Supervisor Bishop.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. This is in regards to improvements for the GVID well number 3, phase 1 drilling. Apparently, the drilling ran into some complications, and GVID is needing approval for additional funding to complete the process. So I thought it'd be nice for Mr. Lukowski to just give us a overview as to where we are with this new well, so that the situation that happened during the last few days with one of our wells going down will be alleviated by this. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board, Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Bishop. Mojave County Public Works, on behalf of the district, has undertaken since late last year the design and now construction of drilling a third production well serving the district. The production well is aimed at providing for redundancy for the system, so that the system, in light of the most recent circumstances which was extremely skillfully handled by staff and a lot of our county colleagues and supporters all around, would largely, if not completely, stave off another system-wide outage. In this instance, we had approximately 500 customers this past week without water service of the approximate 1,200 customers in the district. This proposal to drill a well number 3 actually comes on account of the future development fee collections over the years, which has been allocated to fund this, as well as some other projects in the future. When the production and storage of the district was established in the early 1990s, that was largely established to serve the greater Golden Valley area as it was built out then, with a nominal increase. So not only will well number 3 add to the redundancy of the system, but also cater to future build out of the district. So bring you to current circumstances. We have, through our contractor, found that there is a lost circulation, and all lost circulation pertains to is really the loss of drilling fluids at a certain depth in the well to areas of permeability in the substrate. It occurred around the 1,050-foot depth en route to about 1,270 feet. Staff is proposing this budget increase to the project in the amount of $100,000. It would bring the project budget up to $575,000. The board did, or the district board did approve in FY21 an overall project budget for drilling and equipping of $675,000. But to be clear, staff will very tactfully and skillfully look toward potentially omitting certain scope of work items that are really irrelevant to the future drilling and testing of the well. So we do see some opportunities perhaps to still land within the approximate $475,000 project budget, but we request this additional allocation to establish a project budget that will allow us to proceed in real time skillfully with the contractor. As you know, the drilling mobilization is in place, and they will be actively working as they start things up again this week. It was actually the same driller that repaired well number 1. So lost circulation again. We do see an opportunity for the contractor to utilize alternative materials that will allow those areas of permeability to become more sealed off. In fact, the material is called N-seal. It can be then removed through an acidic treatment in the future. So these circumstances do happen and are not, don't totally take us aback, but they do incur some additional charges. And staff will also be looking towards potentially going deeper with the well down to about the 1,450 mark, a couple hundred feet deeper. We sense that could really place a well in better position for overall production as we make attempts to bring it online.
Hey, Mr. Lukowski, how much did this hiccup cost us in time with getting well number 3 in production?
Well, overall time, and I must predicate this being a two-step process. There still is an equipping process, the pump, the motor, all of the telemetry equipment, etc. So I sense that it really does not cause an undue impact to the overall development of the well. We're probably looking at a matter of just a couple of weeks or so, but all in all, we had always looked toward completing the second phase, and once that is done and behind us, the well probably never was intended on being brought online until later on in 2022, but 2021, but more looking into the beginning part of the following calendar year. So it is kind of a process that is largely stepwise, and but so these particular circumstances are not necessarily a great impact to the overall development of the well.
How many wells do we have in Golden Valley Improvement District?
There are actually 4 wells drilled total. There are 2 production wells on Teddy Roosevelt. That's well number 1 and well number 2. Back in the early 1990s, there were 2 wells that were developed. It's actually the former well number 3 and a well number 4. Both of those wells were abandoned either for arsenic levels or just largely non-production.
Okay.
And an example of this, as I alluded to the potential scope change, we were actually including in this scope the idea of abandoning, just to take it off the ADWR well registry, abandoning the old well number 3. We may forego that and utilize those scope monies, for these loss circulation expenses that are being tended to.
Okay, and then the final question, can you just remind this board how we came into possession of the GVID Improvement District? I mean, it was privately started, and then was the county asked to take this over, or what's the history there?
Supervisor Bishop, the Golden Valley Improvement District is a county district that is formed, and to the best of my understanding, Mojave County has operated the water system and through its public works department, since the 1990s.
So we started the improvement district ourselves.
My recollection, not having everything in front of me, my recollection is largely this has always been a county improvement district and county operated water system.
Okay, I wasn't clear on that because I've heard different stories, and one of them was that we were asked to take it over back in the early 90s. So I just wanted clarity on that.
Right.
So that's all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lutowski, when you talk about a county improvement district, it has to be petitioned by the citizens. The county doesn't start one on their own, correct?
That is absolutely correct, Chairman Johnson. They're always petition generated.
Thank you. Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Chairman Johnson, I'll make a motion that we approve.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 30. I have a motion.
Chairman Johnson, I'll make a motion that we direct legal staff to file a petition for review with the Supreme Court.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same side. Motion carries. Item number 33, Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that item 33 be adopted with the amendment of an exception for the 4th of July in areas of Mojave County that are below 3,500 feet elevation sea level.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Anybody who wants from the county who wants to address this, if that's a problem with the fire district? Mr. Stewart here.
Chairman Johnson, members of the board, I would not be in favor of that motion, that amendment, and the reason for that is because it's around the 4th of July when we typically have the biggest risk for permissible consumer fireworks and open fires to start fires, and a lot of those are along the river, so definitely below 3,500 feet. So the risk is there. This is something that we've discussed over the years, and one of the reasons why we adopted this ordinance in 2013 was because of the open fires as well as the permissible consumer fireworks. So, and this is something that's been recommended by our fire chiefs. It's not something that the county just on our own decided to do. It's based on their recommendations and on the number of fire runs that they see during that period. And so I realize it's a, hard something of, I guess, of a hardship on the people that want to do this, to have the fireworks, but in terms of the dry conditions we have typically around the 4th of July, unless the monsoon has already come in, the risk is going to be even much more severe than it is now. And there will be fires started by fireworks, and there'll be threats caused by that. So my recommendation is not to make an exception for the 4th of July.
Are there any questions, Mr. Stewart?
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould.
Hey, Byron, since the consumer-grade fireworks neither leave the ground nor explode, do we know how many of these fires are caused by illegal fireworks that actually leave the ground and explode?
I cannot address that in terms of the actual the statistics on that. I'm sure probably there are quite a few illegal fireworks, as you say, Supervisor Gould, that cause some of these fires. But I don't have the exact numbers.
And since these illegal fireworks are being shot off illegally, the odds of those people following our ban are low, I would assume.
Well, I would say you're probably right, but what we're trying to address here is not just the ones like that, which are illegal anyway, regardless of this particular ordinance. Sure. They're illegal anyway, in which we're trying to address those. We're also trying to address the ones that are the permissible consumer fireworks on the ground, and those do start fires when people throw them out in, just like cigarettes, when they throw them out in dry conditions. And typically, unfortunately, right around the 4th of July is right when our conditions are the most severe.
I would still argue that a majority of fires started on the 4th of July are started by illegal fireworks, not the consumer grade ones that throw sparks up 3 feet in the air, and they're very unspectacular, but they still do allow children to celebrate the birth of our nation. And I just think we do a disservice when we don't let children celebrate the birth of our nation. Their history's been so dumbed down that they have no idea about the birth of our nation and about rockets' red glare and bombs bursting in air. So I just would rather allow this. Thank you.
Mr. Stewart, do you know if the city's still planning on having their 4th of July celebrations?
The cities, I believe, are planning, and this ordinance does not address those type of planned events. Those type of planned events where they're organized by professional fireworks companies and overseen by the fire departments. The fire departments, as you probably recognize, this ordinance allows any public officer, which includes fire officers as well as law enforcement officers and emergency management, to grant permits for specific types of planned events like that, where they've actually got the safety measures in place that need to be in place.
Thank you. Nothing further from the board. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Sorry, Chairman, if you could clarify that?
Motion failed.
Huh?
Roll call vote.
I believe that it's a 2-3 against.
3 against. I only saw 2. Who's the third?
I believe Supervisor Angus was a no.
Right? Who's the other one besides me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it did not. However, we will need a motion then to do something with this item on there to approve or not approve.
All right. We have another motion.
Chairman Johnson, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries.
Did that pass or fail?
I think that one passed.
Oh, okay. Good.
It's not a quiz the chairman did. All right, item number 35. Discussion possible action on the receipt of a regular road maintenance petition, Mojave County Board of Supervisors. I have no one signed up to speak on this. motion or discussion?
Chairman Johnson, if I could get Steve Lukowski to give us a little background on this, this situation out there on Lake Juniper.
Members of the board, Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Bishop, the Mojave County Public Works Department received a petition to accept approximately 1.3 miles of paved roads in the Lake Juniper subdivision. The main access point is the Anchor Drive at Stockton Hill Road. For maintenance, Mojave County does have fee title to the rights-of-ways for these roadways and has participated to an extent through certain proceedings, legal proceedings, towards repairing these roadways as part of a legal settlement back in the mid-2000s. As it results with public reports that have been filed by Lake Juniper with the Arizona Department of Real Estate, the subdivision HOA is currently representing in those subdivision reports that Mojave County maintains the roadways. That was not the case until we received this petition and are now offering it for Board of Supervisors consideration. I personally have inspected the roadways. They have largely shown over the last 15 years that they have not necessarily been maintained with any typical crack sealing or chip sealing, but largely there are really no areas of undue distress or outright failure. The roads are intact and serviceable at present. I would certainly look, if the board considered bringing these into the maintenance system, to complete some level of maintenance, beginning with some crack seal treatments and probably a chip seal in the not too distant future. We would have to take immediate action to correct certain traffic control devices, namely some signs that would not be concurrent with the adopted manual on uniform traffic control devices. So some immediate actions would have to be taken by Public Works, but nothing that is terribly out of the ordinary for us, and things that we can certainly work into our routine operations.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Lutowski, I have a question then. Isn't it usual and routine that when we take roads and pave roads that a improvement district's usually formed and they pave the roads and give us new roads instead of waiting until the roads are needing repairs and we take them in? Isn't that direct opposite of what we usually do?
Supervisor Johnson, yes, we have seen that play out in the past where generally business entities as part of a development would entertain improving a roadway. If it's already an established paved road, entertaining the idea of placing a surface treatment on it. Other entities, namely on the residential side, have actually advanced a maintenance fee, if you will, along with their petition, a pledge to compensate the county for some near-term maintenance work. That is not the case in this instance. We have evaluated the roads on the premise that they currently are serviceable, without any undue, need for immediate maintenance, with the exception of those traffic control signs.
How old are these roads?
I would reason that they were largely last constructed about 15 years ago, around the 2005 time frame or so.
Are these, you'd kind of hit on, are these roads the ones that were done by the county pursuant to the lawsuit?
That's correct, Chairman Johnson.
So we did those with the lawsuit, gave them back to the improvement district, and 15 years later they want us to take them and fix them again?
That's correct.
All right.
Chairman Johnson, can I jump in on that just so you're aware a little bit more about the facts of that? So you probably recall the lawsuit. The county was involved with that. There's, I think, 2 different settlements. But this is everything that you've said, Supervisor Johnson, and your first question was absolutely spot on correct. The normal procedure is we encourage people to do maintenance districts or go through an improvement district or something like that, or it goes through the process when they're platting it and things. This is an unusual situation. It's a unique situation where county has fee title to these roads. As part of the lawsuit, this board accepted the conveyance of the title to these roads. They accepted that, I believe, in 2006, somewhere around there in 2006. So the county actually owns it. And so this isn't a situation where it's being held by somebody else or anything. This is county property. And given these unique circumstances, the county attorney's office recommends that the board approve this petition. It's just an unusual situation. It was really created out of the lawsuits. Without these lawsuits, we wouldn't be in this situation. That's really what happened here. And because we're in this situation where we have fee title, it's our recommendation that you accept it. So that way, once it's accepted for maintenance, then the county can put in some maintenance to it to make sure that it's safe, that it meets the standards that the county has for its roads.
If we owned them and we paid for them,
We didn't
why
pay
do we
for
have
them.
to accept them?
I mean, I'm sorry, what?
We own the roads and we pave the roads. Why do we have to accept them?
Well, what I worry about is I just want to make sure that if we own something, that this is something that is ours, which it is, that we take care of it. Just like we take care of this building, we take care of a parking lot, we take care of anything. If we own something, I think we have a responsibility to make sure that it's that we maintain it, and we take care of it, that it's safe, that it's that people can drive on it without worry of getting harmed. That's our worry. We want to.
I understand that, but I mean, if it's ours, why is it in front of us again to accept it if we already own it and we paved it already?
Well, Public Works, and I think this is the position that Public Works has taken for years now, is we cannot spend county resources unless it is in our maintenance program, unless it's been accepted for maintenance. Once it's been accepted for maintenance, then we can take care of it. But if we don't accept it into maintenance, then the Public Works will not take care of it.
You said I want to beat a dead horse, but if we lost a lawsuit, we own the roads, and we pave the roads, wouldn't they already be in our system?
They've not been accepted into our maintenance system.
Mr. Chairman, board members, we find the roads with fee title owned by Mojave County. However, there is no document or mechanism that show how or when these roads were accepted into the county maintenance system. So this is just a step in that direction, chairman and board members, to formally adopt these roads into the county maintenance network. So the board is aware of what the plan is, and the staff has a clear direction. Again, as you heard from both Mr. Latowski and Mr. Esplin, our county attorney, the procedure in which these roads got into the system is not your normal or routine process, and we just want to make sure we have the board's approval to get it officially into the road maintenance network. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Bishop.
since we have the right-of-way and we have the title to the roads, I think it might be a liability if something happens on the county road that we own and we haven't maintained it, and the lack of maintenance is a cause of some type of incident. So with that being said, I will move to approve the adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2021-059.
Second.
We have motion and second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 36, I have quite a few people signed up. Jerry McGuire.
Morning, Chairman, Supervisors, Attorney, and staff. I have the wonderful life lately that I'm the chairman of the Mojave County Fair Association, and I came into this position sort of ignorant, but thought I knew more, and I found out that I was way more ignorant than I knew then, and I'm afraid to wake up every morning to find out what it is I don't know again. The definition of chaos is you don't know what you don't know, and that's me. Supervisor Lingenfelter had, well, the county's worked on this 5-year business plan, Mojave County Fairgrounds. The original one, I guess, was back in 2016. I didn't know it existed until 2:30 yesterday afternoon. I clearly understand now the chaos that we've had the last 5 weeks on our side of the border, if you will, simply because I believe the county thought there was a plan and we have a contract and that's what we're doing. We had no idea, our board, that there was this plan, and our contract didn't make sense in a few areas. And then we've had COVID to deal. Didn't know it was going to last as long as it did. It did last longer. We did our stuff to try to catch up and do what we could. We roll into this year now. We need to get moving, and we've had some things blow up on us, and so here I am today. I think the 5-year plan, and I think the original plan. Like I said, I haven't had a lot of time to look at it. I think it was well thought out. I think there was some good things in there. I wish I'd have had this plan when I came onto the Fair Association board, or at least knew it existed. I think I lacked the communication with the Mojave County government simply because I didn't know what we had to talk about. Simple as that. Now I get it. I think the update, I haven't looked at it as close, the April 2021 update. Scanning through it, there's little to disagree with, but there are some things that are worth discussing on that. And so, at some point, I'd like to have that opportunity to get a little more in the weeds. I think we've made some mistakes. I think we've made more mistakes than you, but I think the county also had a couple of mistakes made in there that maybe it would help me to understand if I had somebody to talk to and visit on that sort of stuff. I'd like to get to that point at some time. I do believe we should always operate in good faith. I believe that we have kind of let you down a little on that. I think we did it mostly out of ignorance rather than any preconceived scheme or anything of that nature. I think that we have trouble meeting our contract because our contract is requiring some things that aren't clear, the generally accepted government accounting principles. What did I do? It's chaos.
Gone over your time, sir. Appreciate it, though. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, am I allowed to ask a question of the speaker at this point?
Sure.
Thank you for coming to the podium. As a condition of being awarded annual county funds, from my research, it was a condition of the Mojave County Fair Association to provide a business plan before you were provided those funds every year. Is that accurate?
Before we take funds, what was the condition?
I believe from my research, I read that the county was giving the Fair Association county funds every year, but as a condition of receiving those funds, that you were required as the Fair Association to provide a business plan every year in order to get those funds. Is that accurate?
Is that in the business plan here?
No, that was a part of the agreement, I understood.
Well, there's another agreement I haven't seen.
Okay, thank you.
My understanding, what I was told, my understanding is that money comes in and it is for capital improvement of the property. And that's what it's ear tagged for. So it's set aside in restricted funds for that purpose.
So it was given in the absence of any business plan at all, is what you're saying?
I haven't seen one.
And no measures to measure improvements?
I haven't seen one.
Okay, thank you.
We should develop one, absolutely. But I thought the agreement was that we save those funds until we can afford a capital improvement. And those funds, we have to spend the money first. We turn in the receipts. We're reimbursed out of those funds, was what I was told.
All right, thank you, sir. Becky Fossen?
Not nearly that tall. Supervisor Johnson and Supervisors, the rest of you. I've been on the board for a couple of years out at the Fairgrounds. I've been a volunteer there for many, many years. And I will say in the last couple of weeks, I have learned more than in the entire time I've been a volunteer out there. I'm going to agree with Jerry on, I think there have been some failings on both sides. And I think the biggest failing is lack of communication. I think that what I'd like you guys to know today is that we really do want to see the Fairgrounds move in a new direction. We've got a really good board right now, I feel like. We have reduced the size of the board. We have established committees to come in and work in the areas of the motorsports and the livestock and facilities to try to bring in experts from the community to make the Fairgrounds what it really should be. We've got great partners that, again, in the last couple of weeks, I mean, they've always been there, but are willing to really step up and help us. Some of the Kingsmen are here today. I have a gentleman who's contacted me who wants to put in a horseshoe tournament, that like what they do with the softball tournaments and stuff. We have people that want to come and volunteer and do things there to make it a better place for our community. I think that we're in an excellent position, even if you decide to move the actual fairgrounds to a larger facility. I think that still should remain an event center for the community. I think it lends a lot. I think it's an extension of like Centennial Park. We can have concerts, we can have those horseshoe tournaments, we can have the livestock events for the kids. And I think if we can get together, work together and create a public-private partnership similar to what you guys have done with the animal shelter and the Friends of the Mojave County Animal Shelter, I think we can really add a lot to Kingman working together to do that. And I know from my years at the Legal Defender's Office and hiring young attorneys and bringing them in, one of the biggest things was always things to do, family events. That is sitting there just ripe to turn into the avenue to do that for our community. So I really hope that we can all work together and provide that for our community. So with that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody has any questions? Thanks.
Gerald Olson. He submitted a bunch of papers, but he only has one copy.
Mr. Chairman and board members, in 1984, I was honored to be appointed to the then Mojave County Fair Commission by the Mojave County Board of Supervisors. In 1987, when Mojave County found itself in financial difficulties and decided the Fairgrounds was no longer a mandated service, I was one of the 11 board members who stepped up to form the Mojave County Fair Association. We were tasked with putting on the Mojave County Fair, the annual horse racing event, and keeping the facility open and maintained. Little did we know that that's what we would be doing for the next 34 years. But that's what we did. We proved that the Fairgrounds could pay its own way. We paid employees' salaries, paid for the utilities and the maintenance. I served on the County Fair Committee for 32 years, and also on and off the Fair Board Association. I served as Fair Board Chairman in 2011 and 2012. During those years, we struggled with budgeting, trying to keep fees low enough for county residents to use the facilities and high enough to pay our expenses. What we were not able to do was generate enough funds to maintain a 60-year-old facility and build new buildings. That takes money, lots of money. The 2012 study of economic impact of the Fairgrounds to Mojave County showed that the Fairgrounds helped generate $15.5 million to the county annually. I've given a copy of this study to the clerk, along with the February 2012 letter from Economic Development Director Travis Lingenfelter highlighting the highest and best use analysis of the Fairgrounds. The last 5 years have been rough for the Fairgrounds. Poor management and poor decision-making by the board of directors have led to the current situation. I tried many times to voice my concerns, but those concerns fell upon the deaf ears of the management and other board members under his control. I believe Mojave County is in a better place financially now than it was 34 years ago, and the time is right for the county to step up and take over the facility at the county fairgrounds. This could be done, I would suggest a model that worked for 30 years from 1958 to 1987, a volunteer fair commission to put on and run the county fair, overseen by a fairgrounds manager within the county parks department. Regarding the proposed site for new fairgrounds, this section of land that has been identified as well suited for this purpose and has good access and is where the city is growing. A new multi-service facility could be built in the middle, allowing plenty of space to keep lights and noise away from encroaching homes and neighborhoods for many years to come. A new facility could include exhibition halls, meeting rooms, fair conferences to meet the community needs, rodeo, equestrian, and livestock exhibition facilities, motorsports venues, outdoor and indoor theater. Just have a little bit more.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I support the county taking over the facility. And one last thing, I'd like to thank the volunteers who helped put on and run the county fairgrounds for the last 34 years. They've done a marvelous job keeping the facility open and available to Mojave County public. Thank you.
Gordon Sanchez.
Good morning, Supervisors. I thank you for your service to this community, and I know I wouldn't want to do it. So I'm speaking to this this proposal. One is I'm a little bit confused about the wording of it, where it says it refers to Arizona State Trust land parcel number 322-01075 in Kingman, Arizona, as the county seat for a possible relocation. And then it refers to a site location for Mojave County Fairgrounds. I don't know if you're talking about a new location for the county seat or a new location for Mojave County Fairgrounds. Is that what it is? All right.
Yes, Kingman is the county seat, a new fairgrounds location in the county seat.
Okay. Okay, so I think your recommended motion is more than one thing. One is for the county to take over the operation of the fairgrounds, and another one is to relocate the county fairgrounds from its present location to another location. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Short-term, medium-term, and long-term plan. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I guess the one thing I wanted to speak to about the current location is that the reference that the current facilities aren't big enough to take care of the things that we're trying to do in the next 75 years. I disagree with that in that the acreage, the 68 acres that we operate the fairgrounds in now is large enough to have equestrian in one area and to have the motorsports and the other activities in other areas. It's a rather large piece of property. So I guess that's the only thing that I have a disagreement with. And the reason is that I've been involved in the Kingsman for the last 20 years as a member, and 5 years before that, or as a volunteer, actually coming in from California because of my love of rodeo. So far we're pretty happy with the location now and the facilities that we use there for the annual rodeos. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Brian DeMaria.
How you doing, Chairman Johnson? I just wanted to let you guys know I've been a Kingsman, vice president for the Kingsmans for 2 years, and trying to put on these rodeos. It's a great thing for our community. It really is. It would be heartbroken to move our rodeo grounds to a different location because we're so central for the area where we're at. It would be nice to have the facilities cleaned up and redone. We have plenty of property there to make what we need to make it, and put in our, equestrian centers and the motorcycle tracks and all the other stuff. So it would be nice to leave it where it's at and be a central area for the Kingsman people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Jerry Rogers?
Good morning, one and all, and thank you for hearing me. I have been a volunteer for the Mojave County Fairgrounds. I've been a fair board chairman. I've been on the board for many, many years. Anybody that's been there knows that the last 5, and I'm going to say 7, up to 7 years has been a disaster at the Mojave County Fairgrounds. If you raised questions, they just threw you off the board or took away your membership. If you had ideas, they weren't listened to. The plan that the county gave the fairgrounds has been there. They just chose not to read it and not to follow it. I am 100% for the county taking it over. The fairgrounds needs to be ran like a business. I would love to see us get a bigger facility. Anybody that goes to the fair knows we don't have parking. That ground is not big enough to grow for 75 years. I've done 4-H with my kids, my grandkids. Now I have great-grandkids. I would love to see the fair grow and be a wonderful fairgrounds like other counties have. Not a beat-up, run-down fairgrounds that we have paid people to keep in check. And I realized the money wasn't there. But the fairgrounds often is not maintained. It's filthy. The board needs to know what they're doing. And in my opinion, they have let the county down. And I would love to see somebody get in there that could run it and oversee it. We need lots of volunteers. And the fair this year, we don't even have any idea of when animal ownership is. The board wants to take over the auction animals, but they don't want to take over the school kids that are doing arts and crafts and baking. They'll leave that up to other people. And I personally am disgusted with the way it's been ran, and I think we could use your help terrifically. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's the last speaker. Let's take this obviously in 2 parts. The first part would be if the board has interest in taking over the operation of the fairgrounds. Supervisor Lingerfelter.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. You know, as one of the speakers alluded to, I've been aware of this issue for a long time, you know, almost a decade. And even back then, the facility had challenges. We had not conflicts, but you know, you have the equestrian uses. Their horses are extremely expensive, and they were scared of running over a bolt or some sort of sharp piece of equipment from a motorsports event. So, you know, you need some distance between motorsports events, which are money-making events, and like a rodeo, which is also a money-making event. I mean, those are just, they conflict. The facility was having conflicts back then. But I'd like to back up, and I'd just like to also just say, you know, I'd like to thank the Fairground Association volunteers over all these years, and your passion and your drive and your willingness to serve in your community at this fairgrounds. And I applaud that, and I thank you very much. And I hope that all of you, no matter what the county ends up doing here, that you'll continue to assist the county in moving forward. I'd also like to thank Manager Elters, Yvonne Orr, who provided comments, and also our county staff. They've provided work on this issue for, you know, their analysis, their business planning, the maps that they provided to us, so that we can make some informed decisions here. You know, the county fairgrounds, it has served the county well for about 75 years of the current location. Since that time, there's been residential encroachment around almost the entire property. except for I-40, which you can't go there. The city of Kingman, many years ago, they instituted a local city ordinance that prohibits top fuel vehicles, which is the really loud motorsports events. So that kind of hurts your revenue potential in motorsports events right there. You'd always get noise complaints if you get above a certain, decibel level. With even the fairgrounds, I think at the fireworks, which I support, some people complain that the fireworks are too close, that it scares their dogs, all this kind of stuff, right? So I know that the county, in my opinion, just keeps kicking this can down the road. It was examined in 2010, nothing really changed. It was examined again in 2016, nothing really changed. Then again, staff, in April of 21, this past month, they went out, they did a really thorough review and a condition assessment, infrastructure and grounds condition assessment. And again, nothing has really changed from 2016. Meanwhile, we keep funding every year. We've gone through some significant turnover with fairgrounds managers. So I think it's just time to do something different, go a different way. I don't want to get really into the infrastructure and grounds condition assessment that was provided. I'm sure everybody's read it. It was disconcerting. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and there's not a lot going on over there. The one thing I will mention is that 4-H, many years ago, they planted all the trees around the perimeter of the facility. All the trees have died, and there's no reason for all those trees to have died. That's just one thing. I've also heard from several people, some that wanted to remain anonymous, that they fully support this issue and go in a different way. So it's time to fix the problem. I think that, directing Manager Elters and staff, to place the fairgrounds under the Parks Department, that comes with the full support of all of our other county departments. It brings that level of professionalism. And then, as I mentioned before, hopefully, our fairgrounds will always have some strong volunteers in a lot of different areas to partner with the county to make this thing what I think all of us really envision as what it could be. I mean, it could really be a truly amazing place that serves our whole county, all residents within our county, with facilities that we can be proud of. That's really where I'll kind of stay. As far as the maps are concerned, there's a composite map that shows that there's a state trust land section off of the Rancho Santa Fe Parkway, which the city of Kingman is going to be breaking ground on with ADOT this year, I believe. That'll be constructed in about 18, 19 months. And that whole east bench of Kingman is going to be really where the growth of Kingman goes. You're going to be connecting the airport, industrial park to I-40. It's a direct shot. It's envisioned to be a parkway, so you're not going to have a bunch of access drives for safety concerns. You're going to have a few access drives. You're going to have all new infrastructure. I believe all new infrastructure is going to be brought along Berry Road. It's going to be that particular property, just as one example, would be bordered on at least two sides by all industrial property, vacant land on the other sides, so you're not going to get into some of the issues you get into at our current facility. And then the other map that staff made, if you were really to just envisioning this to extend Detroit Avenue and Airfield Avenue through, that would really create maybe one commercial parcel with there's business and multifamily and schools and things along Detroit already, and then two new residential infill parcels as well. So look forward to discussing the concept. I think it's time.
Okay, let's do if we want to take it over first, can we hear from the Parks Director? Since I was brought up that the Parks Director is going to be the one running this, or proposed.
Chairman Johnson and the rest of the board, I'm Kristen.
The question would probably come up, and board members probably have other questions. Is this something that you feel you're qualified to handle if the county did decide to take over?
I'm very qualified. I've had over 20 years experience with revenue facilities. I've done everything from golf courses to water parks that were in the hole, and now they're still make a profit to this day.
All right, next question would be, what do you see requirements? I know we can't hold you to it, of additional staffing that you might need.
I preliminarily looked at a staffing plan of about 4 to 5 additional staff. That includes like maintenance staff and like an office staff. I don't know what the current staffing is for the fairgrounds, but that would be what I would look at. But I think it could fit into the existing budget that they used previously.
So that takeover wouldn't cost us money. Wouldn't cost the county money. It'd be generated from the fairgrounds to run the fairground.
I believe so.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions of the Parks Director? Supervisor Lingenfelter.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. As far as maintenance of the facilities are concerned, as I mentioned, perhaps if the county is going to be in charge, and I'd have to ask Manager Elters and Steve, but we do have maintenance personnel and staff already. Would there be a chance to possibly use some of those current staff as far as maintenance?
Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Lingenfelter, I'd like to profess that we have an extremely skilled and talented staff by which has largely consulted on matters of repairs and other maintenance works at the fairgrounds. With regard to taking in any element of the fairgrounds and noting that we have quite an extensive building portfolio to maintain, over 50 facilities and approaching 900,000 square feet with the addition now of the Mojave County Superior Court Edition. Our staffing level really aligns to supporting our county facility fleet right now. So taking on the fairgrounds in addition to that would certainly cause some concern for our ability to maintain a certain expected level of service. But the staff are there to lend the technical expertise and direction, but the actual doing it and carrying out the routine maintenance and repairs would be quite an added burden to a staff at their current staffing level.
Thank you, Steve.
Mr. Chairman, board members, if I heard the board correctly, if the intent is to have this a self-sustaining operation to ensure that it's not costing the county and it generates the funds necessary, then we would start with a plan that would project ahead, just as we do with every other department, and what we do countywide is to look ahead, reflect on the history perhaps, but project forward as to what the revenue will be, come up with a plan that would be within that budget, and make it a dynamic, living document, adjusted as necessary to stay within our means, and update the board along the way. Again, knowing if that is indeed the board's intent, then that would be how we would approach it.
Thank you. Deputy County Attorney Esplin, what is the mechanism if the board decides they want to take back over control of the fairgrounds?
Well, currently we have a lease, and so the association has the right to operate it. What we could do is we could terminate the lease. There's a 90-day provision for termination. We can terminate without cause. So I think the county has a lot of flexibility in terms of if that's the direction you wish to go, the first step would be to terminate the lease. And then it would be, the association would no longer be a part of the fairgrounds, at least the operation of the fairgrounds, and the county would then operate it. So really, it comes down to that lease. It really does.
Chairman Johnson, I believe that the current lease, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, expires in March of next year. So I believe that by bringing this issue before the board now, we have a little bit of time to work out exactly what looks best.
I think is it expiring this June 30th?
No,
it expires March of 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and I believe the board voted for a 2-year lease, and so it made it for 2022. I think we corrected that, though. There was an error in the writing of it, and we sent it back to you guys to get it corrected.
Right.
Do you see that?
But it can be terminated with 90-day
Yeah,
notice?
even if it is 2023, we still have a 90-day provision that we can terminate it early as well, without cause. So you have a number of, you do have flexibility.
Any other discussion? We have a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Lingenfelter.
I'd motion to direct County Manager Elters to bring a transition plan to the board that has the Mojave County Parks Department operate the fairgrounds in-house, and a plan that accomplishes the business goals outlined in the Mojave County Business Plan of April 21.
Is there a timeline on that, Supervisor Lingenfelter?
Prior to the expiration of the current lease.
Second.
Discuss.
Motion second. Discussion, Supervisor Angus.
I just want to make sure this is just for the running, because we haven't even spoken about the possibility of moving it and where that should be. Okay.
No.
Fine.
So we're just looking at the expiration of the lease and the county taking it over.
If I may, Chairman Johnson, ask Manager Elters a question. How much time do you think that you would need to bring back a plan to the board for consideration and discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Lingenfelter, I'd like to proceed cautiously and when presenting a plan to you, present one that has been thought through and practical. We are currently, as you would know, going through our budget cycle, and I would say a bit busy with that, among other things. So if it's acceptable to the board to adopt the final budget for 2022, which would be early August, and then at the end of August come to you with a plan that we've vetted, we've thought through, and it would still be well before the March, yes, the budget for FY 2022, which would be in August of this year, which would put us well ahead of the expiration date of the lease, which is March of 22. If that's acceptable to you, that's what I would propose.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. There's a second part to this. Do we want to address this now or wait till we?
Chairman Johnson, I'll present the concept as well, but maybe we want to wait until Manager Elters and his staff come back with a plan. I did, as part of my due diligence and research and backup information, provided one possible site still within Kingman as our county seat that would possibly serve. But again, I'd like to see that business plan from staff before we really tackle that.
Okay. All right. We'll go on to item number 37. Got some possible accept the Snyder's offer on a purchase of parcel. Supervisor Bishop.
Chairman Johnson, I'll move that we do accept the offer to purchase parcel number 30514-003F for the sum of $976.23 per ARS, plus a $40 fee for recording and mailing costs, for a grand total of $1,016.23, and issue a quitclaim deed conveying ownership to the Schneiders upon payment.
Have a second? Have a motion second for discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 38 I placed on the agenda. I was looking to see if the board was interested in having a report from the health department on a follow-up for our report on the tracing. That's something the board would be interested in, to see where the tracing came from. Sure.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to direct staff to do that? I'll make the motion to direct the Mojave County Health Department to come back with a contract tracing report as to how COVID-19 spread through Mojave County.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by... Oh, somebody wanted to talk. Chris Dordardi?
Chris Rodardi, Kingman. Today, agenda item 38 takes a nostalgic look back at 2020, the year of lockdowns, quarantines, small business taking it in the shorts as big box
Ma'am,
thrived.
does this have something to do with the item before us is, do we want to have staff come back with a report?
If you would listen.
Well, I'm not going to listen to a long bloviation on whatever you want to talk about. Do you have something that pertains to this item?
I was told if I wanted to speak on item 38, I needed to wait and do it now, not at the call to the public. That's what the staff told me.
I don't know what the staff told you, but on this item, you will be addressing whether we want to have a report back from the health department or not.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about that you're asking the health department to come back with what went wrong, and I could tell you what went wrong.
It's nothing with what went wrong, it's on how it was spread through the county.
So then why was I told I had to speak now and not at the call to the public? That's what I'm confused about
That
now.
I don't know, ma'am, because I didn't tell you that.
Your staff did. I am addressing item 38. We're taking a look back at what happened and what you want to come back with what went wrong and what we need to do going forward.
The idea, what we want to do is ask our staff to come back with their contract tracing to find out, was it spread through restaurants, bars, airplanes, person to person, however, what was the biggest problem we had? And the question before us is, do we want staff to do that or we don't? So what I'm asking you is, do you want us to direct staff to come back with that kind of a report, or do you think it's a waste of our time and money?
Well, we know what happened, so I don't see any point in staff coming back. It was a violation of our rights as Americans, everything that happened. So what's a report going to do? That's my feeling on it.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 39 is reimbursement for COVID expenses and from the CARES money. Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was informed when I entered the building that the fire districts were still working with the governor's office. And one of the fire chiefs requested that we continue this item, and I would like to continue this item for 60 days.
All right. We have a motion to continue. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 40 is a review of our sign ordinance. Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a new truck stop going in Yucca by a pilot company, and it's called Arizona Pride. They have a kind of a unique location, and they thought that they needed a higher sign visibility on I-40. The current code only allows a 45-foot tall sign and I think 500 square feet of signage. We went to the Board of Adjustment to try to get a variance, and the Board of Adjustment denied that, and they were concerned that if the truck stop received its variance, that they would receive a flood of requests for variances for other sign heights. So what I thought that we would do is that we instruct staff to take a look at potentially raising the sign height and the sign size along the I-40 corridor. Currently, on the corridor, you're limited to the same size sign that you might have in a regular commercial area. People on the highway or in the interstate are traveling faster, and they need to see a sign further in advance to make a safe lane change to get off. But this would just direct staff to take a look at that.
We have discussion? I don't know. Supervisor Lingfelder?
Well, I think when you look at the I-40 industrial corridor and the targeted industries for that corridor. Truck stops are certainly in that, and I don't think that this is the same situation in maybe some other places where larger signs, you get residential encroachment or light pollution claims or anything like that. So I think I would support it.
Okay, so we have was that in the form of a motion to direct staff to come back?
I'll make that motion. I move that item 40 be adopted.
Have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned.